A second review on this G3 boat. I've had a subscriber request a follow-up on the boat. I've had it now for a good portion of half of a year, and he wanted to know what I liked and what I didn't like about it. So basically I'm just going to go over some real quick things about this boat. There are some likes and some dislikes. So let's get started on that. My likes. As far as fuel efficiency, this 4-stroke 70F Yamaha is very efficient. I'm still running the fuel from July. I haven't fueled this boat yet. Got about maybe 3/4 of a tank left on here. The dislike about that is that I have to put some kind of treatment. I took it out today to turn it on, but it's been a while. Gasoline here in Florida tends to go bad because of the heat and all, so you have to treat the fuel. Aside of that, the boat is great to fish on. It's got good walking deck, accommodates 2 people really well, handles well on the water. My dislike on it is that I wish it had a little more of a storage compartment, but just like everyone else, people get some boats and they'll have tons of storage, but then they find something else that they're not gonna like. I think they should have not, to me personally, on this particular boat. I have 2 live wells. I have one that is for bait, and then I have another one which I'm sitting on for whatever you catch and keep. They both work well. There's one thing I did notice about this boat was that when you are on the water, the original plugs that it came in, were kind of not that great. So the live well fills up on its own. Not a lot, but just enough to get that compartment wet. And if you're like me, using it for somewhat of storage, you're gonna end up having your stuff getting wet. I upgraded it to this particular type of plug, but even with this, at times if you don't have it singed down right, you will get water in it. Aside of everything else that I can tell you about the boat, there's not a whole lot of dislike on it. There are some things as far as in the electrical, not the wiring itself, but I have a thermal switch in the back for my trolling motor. And I am going to upgrade it. Is that thermal switch is not the greatest, and I run a smaller motor for fresh water. So if I'm on windy days and that motor's drawing a lot of amperage on it, it'll heat up that thermal breaker and shut the whole thing down, and then you got to wait a few seconds for it to cool down so that you can reset it again. Aside of that, I wish this boat had come with an RPM gauge, which it didn't have. It has all the other gauges, but I'm gonna bring it around here, come on the back side of this. And last time I showed you, I had the gauges. You know, you have your fuel, your RPMs, and your miles. It would have been nice to have the I'm sorry, this is your hour clock. It would have been nice to have an RPM on it, but you know, you can't have everything on a boat. The other thing too is when you're running your live wells, I don't know which battery source is using. This boat did not come with what they call a dual switch, where you can change the batteries from A to B or from 1 to 2. So I am probably going to end up having that installed to give me that option. And aside of that, guys, I don't really know what more I can say poorly. Yes, I did upgrade my depth finder. I didn't like the depth finder it came, so I'm using now a Lowrance. It's called the dual imaging system, which gives me the operating down image. That's what the boat looks overall. I am going to turn it on in a few minutes just to get it running, so stay tuned. Okay, so I have not turned this on for a while, so what I'm going to do now is kick it on, run some of this fuel into the motor itself. Hopefully it'll turn on the first hit. There you go. That's one thing about Yamaha, man. They can sit for the longest, and as long as you're doing the fuel treatment on them, they'll start right up. I've had a Mercury before, and they're a little bit of a harder start, but I don't know, this is just something about Yamaha motors. There is one more thing I didn't cover, and that's the trailer itself on the boat. It's great for fresh water, but when it comes to salt water, you have to kind of rig it up in a way that you can flush the channel out, so it doesn't end up getting corroded by salt water if you're going to be doing a lot of saltwater fishing. I tend to do both. So what I did was I modified a little bit of the channel on the bottom of the trailer, and I'll show you in a few minutes what I did. Alright guys, so my little modification to this trailer is this point here. I have a little cap here, and this whole trailer is pretty much hollow through and through. It's not a solid trailer. So what I did is I cored out a little hole there, which allows me to put my pressure washer, and I'll run my pressure washer through there, and it'll run all the water all the way to the front of the trailer. Now there is something that you can use. It's called a desalter, which I use, and I'll get that product out. And just give me a minute and I'll get back. Alright, so this is what I'm using. Anytime I go saltwater fishing, it's called salt off, and my pressure washer has a dew chamber where you can put the soap in, and as you press the gun, it takes along the soap, and it does like a mixture ratio. So this way, when I'm flushing the trailer of the boat, I'm getting both things in. So aside of that, there's not a whole lot I can tell you about the dislike. There's more of likes on it, but I wish that I had a little more of compartment storage, at least for my life jackets. You know, I've been using my live well here to store it, and actually I take that divider out, but ideally I'd rather not compromise the live well if I don't have to. It would be nicer just having an extra compartment, but you can't have everything on a boat per se. You know, there are always some flaws that you're gonna find. Every boat has them, and unless you truly have your boat custom made, then it's a different story. Aside of that, you know, I can't really complain. This is, you know, really good boat to go out and fish with. It's comfortable, and you know, I always feel very secure about going out and coming back home with it. I don't do anything crazy on the water, and most of the time I'm either fishing alone or I may have a friend along, but a good percentage of the time I'm by myself. Anyway, I hope this could help the person who requested a follow-up on it. The motor on this boat, I can't complain. It's great. It's very fuel efficient. You know, going over the stuff. Wish I had a RPM clock on this. And as far as the the dual switch, which doesn't come with. You have to have that installed, and storage compartment. And that's it, folks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Should actually suffice for this. I had to invert this because what I'm trying to do is to try to get that to catch underneath here, and that'll become the lock for this lid. Now, my only worrisome is that, you know, I got to make sure that everything is within the alignment of the lock. Otherwise, if it doesn't align, I just made a hole in this walking panel and it will look unsightly. The whole idea is to have what this hatch has as a lock. Catches in the inside of that, which is nice because the boat came with these already made, so all I'm doing is templating off of one on the right side. So I'm gonna do this and then we'll get back. Alright, so I made the hole. That's what it looks like. Nice circle hole. And it's gonna catch here, that latch. Now I had to go to the hardware store because the stem is a little bit long, so I needed to shorten it up. I bought some stainless steel. Amazing enough, this plug that I took out, the aluminum is pretty thick. I have to say that G3 for a lid, and I know the rest of the boat's got to be nice, but it's nice and thick. Anyway, I'm going to install this. It's going to sit like so. Aesthetically it looks nice. Now it's a matter of just tweaking it underneath there, making sure it catches well, and we'll get back to it. I got this on. I just got to tweak it a little bit. It's getting a little late for me to do much. It close and basically just turn, and there you go. It's locked. So I got a lock on the lid. Looks aesthetically nice. I just gotta fix it a little bit, tighten everything up. Everything's still loose, but it works. For the most part, and it's still little shavings of aluminum there, but that's all it is. You have to make sure that when you put this, it's got some space here, at least 3/4 of an inch, so that this piece doesn't end up hitting here, because if it hits, you're hosed and you just made a hole in your platform, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it. Overall, I'm happy with it. I finally have something matching with the rest of the locks on this boat. Once it's finalized, I'll do one more shoot on this. Alright guys, this is the final product of installation of the lock for the hatch door. If you to pull up on it, pretty secure to lock it. That's what it looks like on the inside. Basically now everything in here will be locked. Quite pleased with the way it came out. It matches with the rest of the boat. So the fronts have a black style. The one in the back are chrome. They kind of lock everything out. So that walking platform now has its own lock. Let's make sure that when you guys are installing it for this particular type of boat, that you do the right measurements on it, you know.